Tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome to the Waitai Community Board meeting. My name is Paul McMahon, I'm the chairperson. I'm usually a lot more verbose than this, so I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to be very careful. So apologies to the members of the public who came here to listen to me talk, and to staff who are used to my eloquence. So I'll be keeping it short, and I just ask board members to be kind to me and to the public. Thank you. We have a karakia.
Right, Sam is up here. Whakataka te pau ki te kuru, whakataka te pau ki te tonga, kia mā kina te uta, kia mā taratara ki tai, e kia ki hana te taratara, e tio, e kura, e kauruna. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. We have some apologies. Greg for leaving early, potentially me for leaving early, depending on how my voice holds out. Do we have any other apologies? All right, someone like to move those apologies?
Happy to move.
Moved by Kelly, seconded by Jackie. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you. Do any members have any declarations of interest to declare? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Just on the Parklands better off funding. I'll just stand back from there.
Stand back. Okay. Thank you, Yanni. So moving to confirmation of previous minutes. So this is just the minutes of our last ordinary meeting.
Happy to move.
Moved by Jackie, seconded by Greg, thirded by Alex. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. All right. Thank you. So now we move to public forum. This is we've got two public forum and 5 minutes each, including questions. So the first public forum is Margot Mahoney, who's here to talk to us about her book. Okay, so yeah, the floor is yours for 5 minutes, including questions. So if you want anybody to ask you questions, just leave a bit of time.
Hi, my name's Margot. I'm an artist, author, and I work as a marketing manager at a corporate in town. I live in Wainoni and love Christchurch. I've worked in community since I was about 14 years old, working in different groups and starting things up. I worked with the Hiranui Trails, creating a new bike trail up there, and every single school, preschool, play centre, and everything I've been part of, I always end up being on the committee. And I just love it. I love people. I love seeing what people can achieve when they work together. And my sort of ethos is help more people, help more people. And a couple of years ago, just before COVID, I got chronic fatigue and I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought I couldn't work anymore, and it was really hard. And one of my friends suggested, well, why don't you write what you know about? And so I thought, I can put this down. And I'm really passionate about project management. And so I kind of wrote a book that shows how to run a community group from the first little idea in your head right through to marketing the final thing, telling everyone about it, and potentially even handing it over to someone else when you've kind of finished it, if it's going to keep running. So it's a guidebook. It's written for everyone, so it's not a textbook, it's not for professionals, it's written in common day language. It's very kind and understanding, and the big thing is about not creating stress, because I came to realise that the reason I got chronic fatigue was because I did too much. So the book is written on that level. The reason I came to talk to you guys today is because you, being the community board, must have people come to you all the time, individually and as a group, saying, I've got this great idea. And yeah, they are great ideas, but you can't be on all those committees and you can't necessarily give money to everything. And so I thought it might be cool that you knew that this resource was available. There's a couple of copies in the library. I've got a couple of copies that I lend out that are laminated and borrowing copies. And all the resources that are in here, there's worksheets all through it, and they're all free on my website, which is why I gave you bookmarks. So there's, planning ones, there's ones about finance and budget, there's ones about how to get the perfect team, all these different worksheets. And what I really want now that the book is done is to go out and actually meet groups who are doing stuff and make resources for them. So I'm kind of looking for connections. If you've got a group that is starting or that is struggling, anything like that, I'd love to, someone coined me the community coach, but I'd love to work with groups to kind of get past those little hurdles that they might be struggling with, that sort of thing. And so, yeah, that's why I thought I'd come talk to you and tell you what I've done. And yeah, and if you like the idea, please tell people. And yeah, I'd love to just, I'm trying to build a movement and yeah, hopefully one day make a career out of it. So, yeah.
All right, question, I think from Kelly, and then from Joe, if we have time. We've got 2 minutes. And then Yanni.
Mo, that's absolutely fantastic. Thanks so much for coming along. And you're just the sort of person that is really important in the community for helping connect people. Have you connected with any of the residents associations or groups?
I've been to all the, I think you guys are my 9th ward committee group thing that's between here and Waimak. So that's kind of, I thought I'd start with easy ones, I suppose, but no, I don't know residents committees, so I'd love to know. Yeah, I'd love to, if you could send any my way, or I'll write them down.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm the Burwood City Councillor, so I'll be more than happy to share with you the details of the of all the organisations that I know that are operating.
Thank you.
Right, Joe.
Following on from that, have you dealt with our staff that deal with community groups?
No, that's part of the. I thought I'd start with you guys because it feels like you're the top.
Because they have all their liaisons and everything to work through, and whether you want to meet up with them.
I would love that. Yeah, thank you.
All right, Yanni.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Really, really cool. I was just wondering, how is it funded or resourced? And is there an opportunity that we have, if we liked it, to look at how we could support it more?
Yep, so I just wrote it in my spare time over the last 4 years and self-published it. My editor was amazing and helped with the money for printing, and so I'm paying back as I sell copies. I am hoping to create a series of workshops that go with the book about all the different things, and I'm doing my first one in a month and a half called I've Got a Great Idea, about how to convert an idea into a reality. So that's what I'm looking for, is speaking opportunities, workshop opportunities, ways that I can possibly get paid for this. And then there's a couple more books in my head that I'm hoping to get out.
Well, thank you very much for coming to us and thinking that we're at the top. We're not. And just so I mean, connect communities forward.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done.
All right. The next one is webcams, Ripart, and potentially someone from PFA.
Come on. Oh,
Catholic. And the principal.
thank you, darling.
All right, thank you. David, that's a good question.
Got James Tucker England. I'm here wearing 3 hats, as on the PTFA at New Brighton Catholic School, where my children attend, and also as manager of Youth for Life Trust, and as a local resident. We were asking the community board to support our proposal to put some play equipment just in the Rafferty domain, just outside where the school currently operates. As you'll see on the photo on the screen, the school is 210 children, and it's been there since the 1930s. And there's a small play area inside the school grounds, and on play times and lunch times before and after school, they play out in the domain where there's a basketball hoop and a fort, which is at the end of its life as well. And otherwise, it is lots of free play, which you can say is very fun, but there's also quite limited amounts of free play you can have when you go from year 1 to year 8 in a school environment. So we're proposing, as the PTFA and the school and the community, to put some pieces of play equipment in that area, and we're proposing to fund most of it. We're proposing to co-design it with the council. We've been talking to council parks staff for the last couple of years, and we did come up with our own master plan, but they said maybe it's best that you work through our processes, work with our staff, work with our people, and we can put something together which ticks all the boxes, which goes through the right processes, and then you can help us fundraise for it. And I was like, yep, we can do that for you. So the school will be behind it. It's not something completely unusual. We can actually flick to the next couple of slides if you like to. There are other examples. Oh yeah, there we go. There are other examples of other schools in Christchurch who do something similar, such as Beckenham School and St Albans School. And we've got some examples of the types of things that we might want to put in the park.
Kia ora, ko Debbie Hawker. I'm speaking as a local mother of young children and an active member of the New Brighton Catholic School PTFA. And after consulting with local families and members of our community, we've compiled a list of what they would love to see most in a new play area. So by far the most requested feature is a pump track. So not only will this allow for our local tamariki to burn off energy, will encourage safe movement in a sometimes busy environment, and it'll also allow them to learn a bit about road safety with signage and a centre line. Second is Gaga Pit. It's a popular game. It's a simplistic wooden structure that surrounds the children playing a game that's similar to dodgeball, where they need to eliminate each other. We'd like to see a traditional agility course made from naturally sourced materials. Not only will it provide bucket loads of fun, it allows the local tamariki to work on their fine motor skills and exercise patience as they navigate tree stumps and planks. We'd like to look at a open-sided whare, obviously not as big as this, but something that will give cover and shelter, where children can sit, play, read, and also bring a cultural element to the area. New Brighton kids love football. There's lots of them, they play well, and it will be used by school children and the community alike. We'd like to look at some swings, giving kids the chance to play socially in a shared swinging environment, and also a place where they can chill back and read on a rope swing. And lastly, some outdoor seating. There are an abundance of trees in Rafferty. There are some beautiful trees that provide shelter from the sun, and we'd like to have some seating both in the shade and in the sun for local families to picnic and enjoy. I'll pass over to you, Deb.
I think I know you mainly through coming to the breakfast meetings. Principal of New Brighton Catholic. We have a strong relationship with the City Council with other things in the past, and I'd like you to be behind us to support us with this. Again, we have the fort, and many years ago we got the concrete basketball pad just extended and a basketball hoop put there, which is used every single day by us and the community. So it's really great seeing them all there. So the children would really appreciate it, and I think it would be a lovely place for people to come and congregate outside of ours too.
Right, well, thank you. We're running out of time for questions, but we can refer this to staff and they'll come back to us. But yeah, really appreciate you coming to the board. And I can tell by looking at my colleagues who are very supportive. So
Yeah, that is what staff have requested, that we come to you, that you make a referral if possible.
yeah, well, that's a very straightforward process to make a referral. So
Brilliant.
I don't think anyone's going to disagree. So.
Great.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So now we have, we don't have any petitions. And we do have our regular briefing regarding, we have no deputations either, by the way. We have a regular briefing from Adam about the wastewater treatment plant. Just a reminder that this doesn't cover any of the insurance issues. This is just the technical issues and interaction with the community and that kind of thing. Right, thanks, Adam.
Yeah, so Adam Tears, Manager of Operations, Christchurch City Council, just providing the usual monthly update on the Christchurch wastewater treatment plant over the past month. Yeah, high level information on the operational activities being undertaken on the site. Just to reiterate what's in scope, so it's the operation, the interim solution, and the activities that are being undertaken at the moment to mitigate odours, and what's out of scope is the implementation of the findings of the independent review, the current status of the insurance claim, and the status of the permanent replacement solution. So I understand there's separate meetings that have gone to the main council on that. Quite a full agenda all the way through. So what's our recent odour monitoring results? How's our odour management plan actions going through? A bit on the oxidation ponds, on the aerator and the transition to winter mode, some biological and chemical trials, just give you an update on that. Touch on the midge control and a bit on the web page as well. And Again, if we could hold questions to the end, that'd be appreciated, because sometimes I answer your questions as you come through, but if it's urgent, please do flag up. So the odour monitoring results, as you're aware, we continue to provide all the updates weekly onto the CCC webpage, which is shown there on the bottom right. That is reporting on the 4 odour monitoring stations that are located out there in the community at those 4 locations. 3 graphs here. So in the top left is the March odour monitoring results. In the middle is the April ones, and in the bottom right is the end of May ones. So I've taken the 1-week sample from each end of those months. So as you can see, working from the top left down to the middle, down to the bottom, you can see there's been a gradual increase in odour as you go through. I believe there's 2 reasons for that. One, the implementation of mitigations that we're putting in place, but also sort of transitioning from the warmer summer period to the cooler winter period. All the biological activity slows down. Just to provide an update on the odour action plan, again, everything's on the webpage and is being thoroughly updated quite regularly. The graphic on the left is the same, and we go through the treatment processes. So all the various work we've done on each of those treatment stages is again fully updated onto all those web pages, which covers the inlet room, the primary settlement tanks, and the odour control system. There's no real updates from the last month. That was work done before that. And there's no real update on the digesters or the sludge dryer at the moment in time. The only thing for the sludge digesters is the biogas tender, which is to replace all the biogas pipework. That has gone out, and that's on the open market at this moment in time. So the project is planning and the tender's out to the market. Big one that I wanted to talk about is the temporary activated sludge treatment plant. So the temporary system that we put in place, it's working reasonably well, but there's always opportunities to improve. So to try and help us with this project, we've engaged Jacobs. They've put their new proposed design operating parameters with us. We sat down, we had a workshop with all the team and worked out the practicalities of putting all those measures into place. So they've taken that valuable feedback away, nailing down those prioritised, and then we've got another workshop with my site staff at the end of June to work on the implementation of it, and then I'll be going through over the following 18 weeks. The oxidation ponds, again, that's information that's available on the website, but I'm going to talk that in through more detail. But basically, for the last 2 months, we have been monitoring these very, very closely. So the aerator status. So when the effluent comes out of the wastewater treatment plant, it's still not as clean as what it was pre-fire. So as you're aware, we've had to put aerators onto pond 1, which provides positive dissolved oxygen environment, treats from that load and reduces the load going through to the rest of the ponds. There's 2 types of aerators that are on there. The picture in the middle is the disc aerator. So this rotates and creates flow through the pond. And the photograph on the right is a vertical shaft aerator, which does the majority of the oxygen transfer. On the left picture, you can see the disc aerators, where there's 5 of those located around the outside of the pond to create the flow around the pond. And on the right, you've got the 11 vertical shaft aerators, which provide all the oxygen transfer. These are the reports that we get every single day, which shows the performance of all those aerators over the previous month. And so this is for the disc aerators. As you're aware in the newsletters that have been sending now, the contractor has been struggling with the performance of some of those disc aerators, and this is highlighted here. So running down the left-hand side, you see it starts on the 8th of May, the 9th of May, all the way up until 4 days ago on the 6th of June. You can see on the 14th of May, the contractor came in, switched a number of the aerators off temporarily to go out and do their maintenance checks. And as you can see, after that, they discovered that disc aerator 3 needed some work, so they switched it off and they took it away between the 14th and 22nd of May to do the work. Also, during that time on the 14th, they identified that disc aerator number 4 also needed some work. So as soon as disc aerator 3 was back in, they took disc aerator 4 away, taking it away and put it back in service. So that's the disc aerators. The vertical aerators have been performing a little bit better. You can also see on that same day, the 14th of May, again, that's the day when the contractor went through and did all their maintenance checks, and they didn't discover anything significant of issue on those vertical shaft aerators. The blip on the 22nd of May, that's tag back to the other one, 22nd of May is when they had to switch those other two aerators off and take them off the pond. Basically, it's just safer and easier just to switch the power off temporarily to go in, do the disconnections to get those aerators taken off. Big one that I wanted to talk about is a thing that was keeping me up for a number of nights as we worried about going through the summer to winter transition, which happened last year and caused a significant over event of about a week's long duration. On the left-hand side there, you can see the ponds, which go through 1A, 2A, 2B, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the yellow arrow shows the normal route that the effluent takes through the ponds. It takes between 70 to 30 days for any effluent that goes into the ponds before it comes out of the ocean outfall side. And the reason why we do that is to disinfect that effluent that's passing through it through 3 natural processes: exposure to sun, natural predation from the other biomass that's out there, or it simply settles out to the bottom of the pond. And in summer, disinfection takes less time, so less ponds are needed. So in summer, a couple of pictures there of the ponds in the summer. There's a lot of biology that's in there. So on the left, you can see all that reddish stuff is actually water fleas, and you can see on the rocks all the nice green algae that's there. And in the middle photograph, you can see as the water's coming over the waves, nice green. Again, that's the algae that's in there. So in summer, there's the water fleas, there's the algae, and there's lots of bacteria in there. As winter starts, a lot of that larger biology dies off, so the water fleas and the algae. So as the temperature and the sunlight drops away, they die off. They die off, fall to the bottom of the ponds, and the bacteria that's also there continues to work and pulls more dissolved oxygen from the water with all this extra dead biomass that's there. And that's what happened last year for that week period. That bacteria kept going, eating all this food, pulled down dissolved oxygen levels, and that's what caused the ponds to smell. So what we did this year, from about the end of March till the end of May, was we changed the flow that the effluent went through the ponds, so which is the red arrow, so it went through ponds 1, 4, 5 and 6. The theory being that by not sending the effluent through ponds 2A, 2B and 3, was that we would cause the algae that was in there to starve and reduce and to die off over a much longer time period. And then as soon as you see it transition to winter, is open it through and flush it through. The difficulty is, as my colleague mentioned tonight, is trying to operate a treatment plant by the weather forecast is not easy. So in 2023, this algae die-off period happened at the end of April. This year, for whatever reason, it didn't happen until the end of May. As of 2 weeks ago, we opened up the normal flow paths. Flow is now back to normal. And this allows the full 17 to 30 days for all the flow to go through all the ponds to provide all the disinfection that's there. So we need all the ponds running in winter to provide the disinfection, so we're not exceeding our final effluent consent and affecting the quality of the water that's being discharged into Pegasus Bay. Just to show what that actually looks like, the picture on the left is the summer picture with lots of the water fleas, lots of the algae, and then the middle photograph is what the ponds are looking like now. So they've gone from a green to a brown, and all the algae and all the biomass on the rocks has turned brown, which is normal, it's what we expect. And again, what's coming over the waves on the left is the summer picture, nice and green, and then the middle picture is again what we expect to see in winter, where it's sort of like yellowy greyish colour. Again, it's what we expect it to be. So we expect that that transition has fully happened. Another thing that we have been doing is, apologise, it's a bit texty, but I just wanted to get all the points across. So over the past couple of years, we've had over 10 different suppliers offer us various technological, biological, chemical solutions to resolve the odour issues at the wastewater treatment plants. A number of these had to be discounted immediately for various reasons, completely incompatible or adverse effects on downstream processes. Just to make it clear, none of them are being discounted on the fact that they cost too much. 5 of those options do have a possible application. So to assess applicability and likelihood of success, 5 suppliers have been invited to have their products trialled and assessed by an external consultant going through a multi-stage process. So the first stage of the process is to get all the information, hazard, risk assessments, how the product actually works from the supplier. The second stage is to do a small-scale lab-top test of a small 20-litre sample. The next one is a 1,000-litre sample, and then after that, the consultant will work with the supplier to work out what a full-scale, full-size site looks like, what we need to be sampling for, what the risks are, how we're going to dose it, and what those likely costs are going to be. So we'll work through all those various steps. Step one, we've gone out and we've had the responses back from the suppliers. The first two suppliers, yep, they provided all the information, happy with that. The third supplier, we sent it through, but they've said they're going to respond, but haven't provided all the information yet. The fourth supplier has said, yes, we got this product, but fortunately it's not licensed to import into New Zealand yet. However, what we'll do is we'll still take that information and see if they can get past that first stage in the event that they can get it licensed, so we know what product it is. And the last one required us to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and which isn't too much of an issue. The issue is that they also refuse to tell us what the product is or how it works or what the impact will be on the treatment plant. And obviously, I'm trying to operate a treatment plant. I can't be dosing a chemical or biological process where I don't know how it works. I need to understand all that. So we're trying to work through the supplier on that aspect. So that's that trial. I anticipate that's going to be carried on for the next 6 or 7 months to work through that. Just wanted to touch on the midge control. So the midge control, obviously prior to the fire, had a lot of issues with midges coming from the oxidation ponds. The numbers have reduced in recent years since we've been doing a multi-pronged attach on various techniques. One of those is native plantings. So this year, we're planting 45,000 new native plants have gone in. I think that's just about finished. This builds on top of the 70,000 which have been planted in all the previous years to date from 2018 to 2023. A couple of photographs there. Just to show where they are, the aerial image on the left showing the orange, the red, the green, the two blues, that's where they've been planted in previous years. And on the right is where we sort of enhanced the planting. So it's the purples, so that's down the middle of ponds 1 and 2, alongside Dyers Road, and also on that River Road paddock. Another picture of the River Road paddock, also planted the drone up, and then also on Breezes Road and Dyers Road up there as well. For those who particularly like their plant species, there's the list and the days, because obviously we have to record what they are, where they've gone in. They've all been locally eco-sourced, and we've worked with parks to make sure that the right type of plants have been going in for the various plantings. Bird-friendly structure. So people who've been driving down State Highway may have noticed this structure that popped up on the left-hand side as you're driving south towards Ferrymead. Birds were identified as one of the biological solutions to control midge numbers coming from the ponds. And we've installed this with some bird feeders to enhance the bird habitats, and it's funded from the midge control programme. Where did it come from and why is it so strange? So between 2019 and 2022, the CWTP administration building was demolished because it was earthquake prone and replaced with a new laboratory. So the Google image on the bottom left, so it's that building that's been taken down, and on the right you can see the new laboratory that's been built up. So that laboratory does all of our water testing, drinking water sampling, stormwater testing, so it's an essential part of our system. So when we took that building down on the left, it had that metal feature in it. So you might recognise it from Victoria Park and from the Windsor Park. The biggest issue we had it when it was in the admin buildings, birds used to love on it and poop everywhere. So if they liked it in the building, they might like it when it's out there. So a bit of a natural feature, a bit of an architectural feature we try to protect. We've also gone through, revamped the website, as I say, the odour mitigation programme regularly updated, and we've also gone through and updated the CWTP fire timeline page with those updates on the left-hand side.
Thank you very much for the comprehensive report. We have some time for questions,
Yes.
but bear in mind that we have to have a large things to discuss later, members. So yeah, I'll allow about 5 minutes for questions, unless something that really comes up. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the work and the detailed information. If I look at the diagram that you've got and all the different things that you have, this is just the same request as last month. But is it possible to get some timeframes around the actions that you're taking? Because when I go to the website or I click on the little thing on the diagram, I don't get any sense of what the timeframe is for a number of these improvements being made. And I think it would be helpful to know from the community's point of view, like, is it by the end of June 2024? Is it, start of 2025? Like, what is the timeframe?
Yeah, we can put in those.
Okay, I think that, yeah, thank you. And then, I know last time we talked about waiting for the LGP for funding for a number of things.
Yeah.
So is there anything that the board should be advocating for in the LGP to make sure that we can do the things that you want to do at the Westwater Treatment Plant?
The treatment plant will only be fully fixed when the permanent solution's been installed. And I'm aware of it, but I'm not involved in that particular process it's going through. So I've got to manage what we're doing on site with what potentially could go in.
Right, but in terms of the actual temporary stuff that's funded, last time we were told that they were waiting for the LGP to be signed off before we do a number of things.
So I have progressed some of those designs with the asset managers to work it through.
Right.
And like I say, once I've got those dates, I'll put them up on the website.
Okay, cool. And this, the final question from me is, I'm still getting some complaints from residents about the odour, but the odour testing is showing, obviously, that the measurements aren't spiking above the
Certainly not near the 0.3, but which is sort of the long-term health one. We are aware, as you can see, there is. So again, so March, April, May, you can see that depending on where you are, so that, for example, the Woods Road place, there's been next to no detections. Mecca Place, there was some, and it's dropped off. The Shortland Street one, you see it was high and it's dropped off very low again. So it is subjective. It's way below the health limit, but hydrogen sulfide can be detected at very, 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 very low levels.
I guess the question for me is there any other measure that we've looked to, any other data source of measuring the impact of the odour that would give us an additional understanding of what's happening, or is this the only one that we can use?
It's a very good, so I'm no expert, hence why I've engaged a consultant to undertake all the odour monitoring for us. So they're the ones who look at it weekly, take the results, look after the meters on our behalf and produce all these graphs for us. I'm not an expert on odour, so we've gone with what they suggest and what they know, and this is what they use as sort of the common standards for odour in this particular case. So you'll get other industries which might smell, and they'll sort of look for indicator chemical that they'll monitor on that one. In our case, for wastewater, it's obviously hydrogen sulfide.
As we know from the organic processing plant, is that, we have calibrated noses and we have the chemical detection, and that's about all. So it's pretty difficult to measure, fortunately. Yeah. Final question from Greg.
You're saying that the UV light helps the algae grow or stay alive as such?
The sunlight provides the growth, the UV provides the disinfection for the bacteria for us.
Okay, so the UV, has there been consideration of using UV lights to supplement that with the shorter daytime hours during winter?
The ponds give us all the UV disinfection that we need, but in summer, lots of sunlight, lots of UV, we only need about 4 ponds. Hence why I was able to bypass a couple of ponds to do the starving. But in winter, I need all 6 ponds in order to provide disinfection because it takes time. It would be very difficult to retrofit UV partially onto this because of how, when I showed you the picture, you can see how grey and murky it is when it's coming through. So you have to be a substantial UV plant to do it, and I don't think it'll work very well. I did come to the board back in 2018 to say if you wanted to get rid of the ponds, you could replace it with a UV plant. That wouldn't solve the hydraulic issues, but it would give you the disinfection. But I think the price for that was 225 million, and that was back in 2018.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you very much, and for continuing to run that plant on number 8 wire and masking tape.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, good on you, thanks.
All right. Next we have just minutes of our joint meeting with Waitai. Moved by Jackie, seconded by Alex. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. So next, we have 2 reports from Lachlan, one about Sandy proposed non-stopping restrictions and the Cypress Street three hubs, which is very good to see. So, are you happy just to take questions and take reports?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. Any questions? So we'll take Sandy first. Any questions about Sandy?
Happy to move.
Yeah, okay. That was close. Moved by Joe, second by Jackie.
And Cypress Street.
And now all those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. What about Cypress Street? I'm just was stoked to see it, and I know that the residents are stoked. So I'm happy to move that. And seconded by, that was probably, was it? Are you the neutral umpire?
I saw.
Okay, that was Yanni.
See, I didn't do anything, I said.
Says the area.
So moved and seconded. Did you want to speak?
Oh, I had a question.
Question? Yep, sure.
Do you want me to go now or?
Well, yep.
Oh, yeah, cool. Okay, so I was just trying to understand what's happening with the wider Bromley, improving Bromley roads project, because this was
Point of order?
this was raised.
Yeah, so I have point of order. I have to take point of order. Yeah,
4.8.
what was is there a reference in the report to Bromley roads?
Yes, it said it's not part of the Bromley Transport Action Plan, and that's scheduled for late June to discuss with the board. As the elected member who was at the Bromley Transport Action Plan community meetings, this was raised as part of that process. That is why it was put into whatever thing that we're doing.
So you're supposed to be addressing the chair because it's a point of order.
Okay, well, so it is, it's absolutely part of it.
Okay, stop. So that's the point of order. Okay. I just want to question, because I don't want to go around in circles. Are you able to address that, or Jacob, did you want to address that?
I was going to say, it's coming to you at the end of June.
Coming in June, so we have to wait to the end of June. So did you have any other questions?
Is there any work, is there any concern that doing this work ahead of having the plan for Bromley will create adverse behaviour in other streets nearby?
I think it's a little hard to predict to what extent that might happen. Obviously, we hope that in putting this in, it will address the issue locally. That may mean that there's less behaviour happening on those streets that surround it as well, because people don't want to go near them.
Any other questions, Yanni?
I mean, I'll raise in the area report what's happening with the Bromley Transport Plan.
Well, we know what's happening. It's coming to us in June. All right. So we have. I moved it, and it was seconded by Jan. Any further questions? No. So, any debate? No. All right. Motion will now be put. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Thanks for your work on those.
Thank you all for your time.
All right. So we'll just have a 1 minute go to and we'll talk about our own streets of people. So now we're doing, Arano Streets People. First off, just want to say to staff, that thank you for really good work over a long period of time. And in particular, it was great to see you at the consultation that Actors ran, and how much you enjoyed that. And I'm really, although there were some hiccups along the way, the fact that we were able to respond in real time, we being the council, big council, and I was responding in real time, I think has really done something to build some trust in the community, and I hope that we can learn some lessons from. So I won't talk anymore until you've given us your presentation, but if you would like to give us your presentation and then take questions.
Yes, yeah.
Members, if you could please note your questions down, because there are quite a few intersections to take into account. And bearing in mind that we've got quite a lot to go through. So try and be clear. Right, thank you.
Thank you for the acknowledgement. There is a lot of work that's gone on this project and a lot of people being involved. It's been a good team. I think we've worked together really well. So we'll go into it. So, kia ora everyone. My name is Charlene and I am the project manager for the Streets for People Aranui. Today with me I've got David, who's the lead designer, Hannah, who's the engagement advisor. So we're here to present to you the Streets for People Aranui project and the improvements that were installed as part of the trial project, and seeking community board's approval on option D to retain all speed humps, safer speed platforms, and install permanent curb build-outs where bollards are installed currently. So a bit of a timeline since we last saw you. So in February, the project started construction, trial period, public consultation, which my colleague Hannah will go through a bit more detail, adaptations based on the feedback made on Hampshire, Bruce's Road intersection, Tahuna, Shortland Street and Waitai Park. During the trial period, monitoring evaluation data was collected to understand active travel modes and speed in the area, which we can go in a bit more detail if required. So construction and trial. So the project installed a 14 intersection narrowing, including speed humps, platforms, raised pedestrian crossing and through pedestrian build-outs. After installation of these interventions, speed was monitored in the area, and in some cases, vehicle speed in some areas were reduced by 12 kilometers per hour, and increase in active travel by 14%, which means more people choosing to walk, cycle, and scoot in the area. Monitoring evaluation data was collected during different stages of the project, the before in October, before anything was installed, and the during in March 2024 to understand and monitor the changes the interventions were made. So now I'll hand over to Hannah, who will talk about consultation.
So last year, prior to approving construction, we spoke to you about the early engagement that got us to the plan. So I'll go from that point onwards. So consultation was expected to launch when construction finished around the 18th of March, so that the community could experience the trial and provide some anecdotal feedback. That didn't quite work out, with the community obviously wanting to let us know what they thought as soon as they experienced it. So we soft launched the consultation earlier and obviously communicated that with you throughout the process. Trialling as a form of consultation is something a little new to us. So we'd like to thank both the board and the community for being patient with us during this part. So we hosted the consultation on our Kōrero My page as per, and we received just over 2,000 views during the consultation period, which is really considerable reach for a localised project area. We were asking about a huge amount of trial aspects, so we tried to simplify it as much as possible to you and now for each intervention, hopefully resulting in easy submission digestion for you all. We did all of our usual engagement tactics, but on a much larger and deeper scale than what would be typical for this type of project. This was partly due to the Waka Kotahi funding and focus on engagement. So included in that was consultation document delivery to around 3,000 households, and we actually received 40% physical submissions. Normally we get under 1%. We door knocked quite a few households, lots of whom were home and able to provide us with feedback. Councillor Barber accompanied me to some, which was really cool. We had token exercises at Aranui Library, Crossroads Youth, Chisnawood Intermediate and St James. An image of that is on the screen in front of you. And we were able to simplify the consultation question, which created more kind of weight to that easy engagement tool. We hosted a barbecue at Hayata where staff were able to speak to whānau to make up for the token exercises not really working for them. Prior to the full consultation launch, as was mentioned, activists hosted a Bumps and Bollards Have Your Say Day to give the community a chance to voice what they thought about the changes. There was a really great turnout, music, kai and some interesting chanting led by Councillor Barber. All feedback received during this day, including a great selection of video feedback, has been provided to elected members ahead of today's meeting. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank activists and Rachel in particular for running this event. It was really great. So we monitored feedback throughout the consultation period. And I think David will speak to the changes made as a result of this, but we had a lot of in-person meetings, including the image on the right of the screen, which is staff meeting with some of the heavy vehicle businesses on Tahuna, where in real time we tracked heavy vehicle movements and made changes to the design, which is a cool opportunity that you don't get to do on most projects. Option D. So the option that we're presenting you today obviously is a change to what was consulted on and what's been trialled. So once the team decided to present that option to you today, I went back to submitters. We heard from 3, as you would have noted in the memo, 2 in favour of the changes and positive about staff listening to feedback and 1 generally negative. To try and get you some more feedback to help form your decision, we did post to the Aranui and Wainoni Facebook community group. As typical of Facebook, it was far more negative than what we normally hear through formal channels. And most comments related to either council or general or consultation. But of the stuff on topic, one thought the change wasn't being made to make it wide enough. One said that narrowing should be removed altogether, and one said that they were unhappy with us spending more money on adapting it. Other than consultation, just quickly, here are some other things that the team have been up to in the engagement space since we last checked in. So we put up planter boxes outside the Hampshire street shops to help with footpath separation and beautification. That's the middle photo there. So students from Chisnawood painted them with a local artist and our graffiti team to help better reflect the area. And the same group also headed out to beautify some of the chorus boxes in the area, so they're the broader two. And there's a few more examples around the suburb. So if you're around, go check it out. And 2 students involved in these endeavours now actually have jobs with Kev, who are your local contractor in the area. So nice. Moving on.
All right, so as part of this project with the adaptation, we took the feedback from the consultation period and listened to the feedback that was coming in. So the first one that we adapted was the intersection of Breezes Road and Hampshire Street. So that one there, we listened to that people were finding it too tight, too hard to turn in. So we actually picked up the bollards and moved both sides of the bollards further out, just to make it a little bit wider, as well as making it a little bit easier for them to turn in and out of. The intersection of Shortland and Tahuna Street, as Hannah mentioned, we caught up with the freight companies that use Tahuna Street and real-time track their trucks going through to see if we can still do something for the pedestrians in that area. And then ended up keeping the speed hump in that location. And it was great to get the feedback from them that they did like the speed humps. It was just the intersection narrowing. And then the other one was the Wainoni Park road art, where we got a lot of feedback regarding removing of parking outside Hampshire Street. So the original design aspect of this was from the design jams with the kids. We got feedback that the kids were getting bullied and beaten up where the tree is in that photo there. It's a choke point along the footpath. That when they are walking to the shops, that is where bigger kids congregate and beat them up. So we tried to provide an alternative footpath by moving the parking out into the road. But yes, that's then now ended up being on the footpath, so they've been able to go through. Cool. That's the adaptation. So as part of a normal transport project, the safety audit was completed post-construction of all of the trial stuff being implemented. So the feedback or the comments regarding that is that in Eureka and Rowan Ave, there's illegal parking that occurs in that intersection, which makes it too tight for cars to turn in and out of there. The side road narrowings, too narrow. The effectiveness of the raised safety platforms is believed not to reduce speeds as much as a raised safety platform should. And Shorten Street speed they thought was still quite high along there, as well as the width of the crossing provided are too wide for the school children, as well as the inconsistency on the markings for the speed humps, as you'll notice they're a little bit different in some locations. So what these comments have led to the changes to be that we're proposing to put the no stopping lines within the intersection of Eureka and Rowan intersection, just to reinforce to the residents that you shouldn't park within an intersection, ensuring that the side roads are a minimum of 7 metres so that they are wide enough, and then opening up the intersection corners or the sharpness of them to allow it easier to turn in and out of. So those changes are then being transferred onto option D, which we are recommending today. That has also been safety audited. And that includes the no stopping lines at the intersection, as well as making sure that the intersections are 7 metres wide, as well as opening up the corners to allow it easier to turn in and out of. And then this slide here is showing all of the 4 options that have been investigated as part of our decision making and a recommended option. They're all up here. This is all within the report as well, so it's being taken as read. So if you do have any questions about it, please ask at the end of it, not right now. But yeah, there's a lot of information on there with all the 4 options. Cool, and I'm going to hand back over to Charlene now.
Cool, so the next steps, the funding for this project cuts off this month, which means this will be the last community board meeting to be able to make a decision before funding runs out. We are anticipating construction to start next week if the board approves today, and will go for 7 to 9 weeks.
All right.
Cool. We'll take questions now.
Right, then given that there's going to be quite a few questions, I will try and come back to people, but I usually just let people go with as many questions as they have. I just want to make sure we cover the breadth of things, so please, if you just ask a couple of questions and then we'll move on to the next question. So can I just have a show of hands again? So we Kelly, Yanni, Joe. Okay, we'll start there, Kelly.
Thank you. Thanks for all the amazing work you've done over a long period of time. Just a couple of brief questions. Could you describe the final iteration of the build outs, how that's changed? Is it the language you use is slightly different from that I would use? I would say that that's when you're creating wall space, you're moving it out. You say you're moving it into the curb kind of thing. So when the bollards are there, it's kind of hard to tell from the photos. How much are they moving out or coming in, so to speak, from where the bollards were? So the new permanent. Yeah, so generally speaking, they will be moving roughly 600 mils. So that's 300 on both sides that they will be getting moved in. So, yeah. So where the white line is currently, and then the bollards, and then the other white lines, they'll be roughly 200 mils behind that, is where the concrete will come out to.
It'll be 7 metre edge to edge.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Minimum, yeah.
And so that piece of concrete will have a sort of a
yeah. They will be semi-mountable.
Yeah. Obviously for a purpose, but yeah. And the other thing was, if we were unhappy with, say, Shortland McAfee's or whatever, is it possible for us to take that in our process out of the project? But it's probably more of a process for question, John.
So we could, I'd have to get some advice as to what the impact would be, but we could choose not to pass those resolutions.
Yeah.
Or to amend those resolutions.
Yeah.
I just, in terms of straight out removing or slightly amending, I think that's all right. Once you get, I wouldn't want to micromanage in terms of adding 50 centimetres or something, you know what I mean? Like,
It's just one that I've had, but been contacted on, so it's cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Jan?
Yeah, thank you for the work that you've done. I was just trying to understand in terms of the evaluation, in the consultant's report, it does say that that basically there can be quite a very varied fluctuation depending on when you do the survey. And so I was just trying to understand, like, how many times did we go and measure the number of people biking, walking?
And
Like, was
cycling.
it just done in one time in October and one time in March, or was it done on a number of days?
Got Tracy coming over, who's the consultant.
Yeah, so we've done several different surveys through the time periods. But what we have done with the tube counts, we've had those out for 2-week periods because of that variation and school holidays as well, so that we've actually got a really good overview of timeframes. It's always really difficult with there's always something going on sort of that might change habits and patterns. But what we've tried to do is have consistent data sets through the before and a couple of, we've done during the different phases of the process as well. So we can actually have regular touch points that are as similar as they can be to each other.
So just to be really specific, so the data that we have in this slide, was that done over the entire month of October?
No, so that's direct comparison times. So that's where we have a lot more data, and in the big, we've got a bigger report of monitoring evaluation that has, the 2-week data set. So that's for direct time frame. So that's a 2-hour time frame and different hour counts outside schools over different times, but absolute direct comparison of time frame, days and times, so that it's giving you a really good comparison of what the pattern was before and during.
Sorry, I was struggling to understand this. I just want to be really clear.
Yeah.
Like, the counts that we've got in here.
Yeah.
We're taking on how many days before and how many days after?
So we had snapshot surveys over one day on a Thursday, and the before data for that graph in particular. So we had before counts on Thursdays, and we did them again on Thursdays in 2 periods during the survey period.
Right, so for 2 days.
Yes, yeah.
And it looks like Breezes Road, the active transport has decreased.
Yes, yeah, but we've got the wins on the roads where we've done more work, which actually sort of makes a little bit of sense. Breezes Road still had, if you look at that, actually ties in with what's happening with the speed counts as well. So the speeds haven't reduced on Breezes Road. So it actually reflects what's going on. And the increases in cycling and walking have happened outside Hayata, which, sort of is the school children going along the Shortland and Breezes Road area. So it's, yeah.
So just to
can we come back to you? I just want to make sure, because it's quite a big thing. Can you hold a couple of questions?
Sure.
Sorry.
Okay, I just want to get clarification on option B, to retain the speed humps and platforms. That's actually cost more than option D, whereas you'd have to remove all of those bollards and everything anyway, wouldn't you? Just wanting to know why it costs more to do the removal than the build out.
I would like to just jump in here, because I don't, and this is the one gripe I really have, is that I don't believe that the community board was informed that we would need to get funding from the annual plan, the long-term plan, in order to remove the trial materials. And that seems like, to me, that's quite and this is bearing in mind, this is something that I think has gone really well. That's quite a significant bit of information that I don't believe we had. Now, I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But, if you could address that when you're addressing Jim's question, I'd appreciate it.
So the reason with the trial project, there was a need for safety improvements and some sort of permanent infrastructure interventions in the area. So therefore we didn't actually look into the cost of removal, and that was an oversight on our part. I do apologise for that. But again, it was only done in March that we looked at the cost for removal altogether. So based on the fact that there was a need for safety, like the race platform outside St. James School and things like that, just assumed that this was going to be a permanent, some parts would stay permanently.
Why does it cost more?
Yeah, why does it cost more? So the cost for removing the buff paints around the intersection area, that's why it's costing us more. Removing the bollards, we have to asphalt back into the holes that's been.
So the big cost is the buff, is that it's actually taking the intersections back to how they used to look, and the road marking would need to be removed, and then you need to put new road marking back in. Whereas option D, we won't be touching the road marking, we'll just be removing the bollards.
Do we need to remove that buff that you're talking about?
No.
You could leave that in place and just remove the bollards?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that would be a lot cheaper?
Yes.
How much?
So sorry, with option D, that's what we are doing. For option B, you have to remove it all.
No, for option D, you're doing curb build out.
But that's leaving the buff there, so that's why. Yeah, that's why.
But you'd leave the buff there anyway.
Not for option B. For option B, we would have to remove it all.
But could there be an option where you retain that and just take away the bollards?
I don't believe so. We would have to investigate that, but then that's the time of that is unlikely.
It would require traffic resolution, sorry, so we'd need to write permanent traffic resolutions for that.
All right, Craig.
A couple of questions following on from that. If you're going to have to buff off the surface, is it going to be cheaper to paint over the whole surface?
Yes, correct. We would be looking to either use a chip seal or paint over top of it to remove it. So instead of actually physically removing it, covering over it is the option.
Yep. And you commented before about a 7 metre edge to edge point. Why was that not included in the previous one if you're trying to make sure there's a 7 metre point this time?
It was. Unfortunately, when the road marking got installed, it wasn't at 7 metres.
So it's designed as that, but
yes,
it was a contracted error.
Yes, correct.
Other questions I had been answered?
Do we have any other questions? Come back to you, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Given that this has been quite contentious and had lots of community interest, I was quite interested in the fact that we had no deputations, because normally we would have like a deputation. Will all the submitters send a letter advising them of the ability to make deputations to the community board?
Yeah, the usual process was followed for that.
So how many people did we inform?
More than the submission number. Right. So we heard from 211 people made formal submissions. Yeah. All of those people were informed.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Plus other identified stakeholders, because it was sent out at the same time as we were discussing option D. Oh, yeah. So we sent it out to a few more people that we wouldn't ordinarily.
Okay, and I was just trying to understand from the community submissions, which of the options had the most support and which had the least support? Like, I just can't tell from the options in our report what the public feedback was on each option.
Well, because we didn't ask about the options as they're presented to you now. We asked about what's on the street, whether people liked it or didn't like it. Right. So speed humps were largely supported throughout the entire project area. So that's in line with options A, B and D. The intersection changes were the more controversial aspect, and they were often quite split, but depended on what location you were talking about. But through the comments, we heard that the main kind of issues were that the community felt it was a bit too narrow. And then a secondary theme was that there were aesthetic issues with the flexi posts around.
But prison bars, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So therefore, option D was to address kind of those issues with the curb build out. So I think both option B and D do reflect.
You could say that
community
option,
views.
option B was probably the most aligned, but there's still a safety issue. And the safety issue is then not dealt with at B to do with crossing distances, speeds and everything like that. And that's where option D covers both the safety issue as well as the community feedback.
Yeah, it's a more compromised.
Okay. And I was just trying to, was trying to get my head around the costs as well. Like, so as part of the Streets for People budget, do we allocate a set amount for the removal? So is there like within the overall budget that we get, when we set it, how do we account for the cost of removal so that the community doesn't feel that, I guess the concern some people in the community have had is that this is predetermined, we do the trial, but then we don't have the funding to actually put back what was there before at the end of the process, which leads to people feeling that we haven't, been very transparent.
And it's precisely my irritation too.
Because we had the same thing, I think, for Gloucester.
Yeah.
Where we were told that there's going to be all sorts of extra costs to remove it.
Mm-hmm. So the cost of removal adaptation is has to be done before 30th of June. So that's all allowed for it during the period. So with this funding, it's 90% funded by Waitai and then 10% council. So as we spend our 90%, we spend our 10% as well as we claim for it. So I went out to NZT and asked them if we created this fourth option, would they look into funding it for us? And they confirmed that as of Friday that they would fund $375,000 for it. And I asked them if the board decides to approve an option B, would they fund the shortfall? And they said they'll might be able to, but they can confirm if when the decision.
Sorry, I'm just trying to understand at the start of the project.
Yeah.
Do we have an amount that we put aside, but do we spend, in terms of the total budget, is there a kind of budget that's set aside for removal at the end of the trial, so we know that we don't spend more on putting things in and have no money left for whatever option we might get? Like, is there a percentage that we leave so that we don't get into this situation? That's what I don't quite understand how we've.
We only allowed for $200,000 for it. That was it. Because we didn't anticipate it's going to cost us $900,000, which was an oversight on our part.
Okay.
Greg has a question. Greg?
Yeah, just follow up from what Yoni's saying there. It does seem bizarre that it has been so heavily undercosted when, if the board decided to do nothing, it was having to be removed at the end of the project. So it was always a consideration that it had to be taken out. And that's for everything. That's not just that's for removing the speed bumps and everything at the same point. So to remove the speed bumps, it's much more again than that. So we're talking $700,000 difference. It's quite a huge sum of money for something that was a high likelihood that at the end of the program it had to be removed if no decision was made.
I would say based on the data we've collected throughout this project, monitoring evaluation, surveys and things like that, there is a need for safety improvements in this area. So to remove something that's needed and based on the data collection, that would not be recommended.
So,
sorry, I was just going to also add, I think we probably need to go back to where we were at the beginning. So at that point, you take a risk-based approach. So you'd assume that you wouldn't take everything out because that would effectively remove the amount that you could put in and trial. I don't think we communicated it very well, so yeah, apologies for that. But I think probably there is a balance between putting permanent stuff in and taking a risk-based approach that you'll want those in permanently, because if we put them in temporary materials, we wouldn't have had the money to change them to permanent.
So I think, I'll take a question from Dennis next, but so I think we can park that, which is what is really a process communication issue.
Yeah.
You've heard what the board has to say, and I think we all agree that we would like all the information clearly prior to, but also it's clear that if you don't, you have to take calculated risks in order to do things. Otherwise, we never do anything.
Yeah.
Some people might like, but I certainly wouldn't. So I think that, you know, like we can put that aside now. So let's focus on what we think. And so my view is that we should talk about what we want as the outcome, and what we think of the changes, and weigh that up, because we as one of my colleagues once said, we are where we are, and we have a decision to make, and there's not enough time to make it. We have to make it tonight, whatever that decision might be. We can't, because of the slow moving nature of the meetings and all that kind of thing, and only 2 weeks until the funding is cut off. We don't have any more time. So
may I ask just one small question financially? It's relevant. It's relevant.
Yes.
Yeah. The contractor who didn't go to the measurements, why didn't you ask them to do it again and go back to those measurements?
So consultation was already over by the time that we got the as-built to do with the data. So for the consultation period, it wouldn't have been completed because the consultation was only 4.5 weeks, 5 weeks long.
But you said to us we have minimum of 7 metres.
Yes.
Contractors did it wrong.
Yes.
But they didn't measure it. They didn't know until you got the data back.
Yeah, correct. So in terms of the feedback that we got for it, then it could have been done then.
And that's also irritating. So it's only my second gripe, that it distorted potentially the consultation feedback because it was so narrow. Because when first time I saw it, I was like, whoa, that is narrow. So, Alex.
So as part of option D, we're looking at bringing back the curves a bit. Will the contractor be paying, I guess, any funds towards that? Because they were the ones that brought it in too far in the first place. Is there any part of the contract we could use to get them to cover some of those costs?
Potentially, it's likely to be quite small though, particularly as we're changing, or probably the recommended option is to change from the lines and bollards to a different material. So any clawback we get would be likely to be quite small.
Okay, no, cool.
Any further questions? Yeah.
So my understanding from the Streets for People funding with Gloucester Street, for example, we had to have a permanent project in our LTP or in our budget. Is that true?
At the time, we had the cycle connection to the Otago Avon MCR, this was all to be built off that.
Right. So in terms of like the permanent, there's no other budget in council that can go into doing the permanent work in this area.
The draft LCP has no further budget, no.
And that's okay for the Streets for People. We don't need to. There's no requirement with the NZT or Whakakatai that we do have to have a permanent project.
At the time, we had a permanent project, so I think the intent was there, but the world changes.
So do we know when the MCR for that Avon Otago is going to come to us around the route?
The Avon Otago hasn't got funding until about FY27 or FY28 from memory, and the cycle connections of that are even further out now.
But there is a preliminary route assessment.
There is, yeah.
Preferred route.
Yeah.
All right, they've got Joe, and then was on the Avon or Takaro though, wasn't it?
It was. I just want to know, because I keep hearing that there's 100K on budget this year. So I just concerning that it keeps being said that that funding's to do the construction, but the planning funding is on budget. So.
It's proposed, yeah.
Yeah, it's on. We moved it last year. It's part of the annual plan.
But it's not. So that's not being amended potentially.
It's currently in the budget.
Joe.
So if we went option B and there's a shortfall, how do we get around trying to get that funded?
Well, this is hence we don't have to get the funding.
They do.
Yeah. So that will have to become from some budget allocation in in the long-term plan.
Is that for option B?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I spoke to Waitai today, this morning as well, and I said if the community board decide on option B, would you fund some of that? And obviously, the
So,
possibility would be.
90%.
Yeah, that's a possibility they might be able to.
A possibility.
Yeah.
Okay, so it could be around about 40 instead of 220.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
they're able.
yeah,
to
yeah.
provide it,
Okay.
Right, Greg?
I'd like to move option B.
You can do that. Do we have a second for option B?
Yeah, I was thinking
Right, so I guess it's some key. Do you, before we get into debate, so I'm just trying to think of process. So if option B has been moved, that will mean that if that fails, we can go for another option. Just trying to think of the process.
I'm glad you are.
So the way that I'll run it is that if we can have debate on option B, if that fails, we can, so if somebody, for instance, foreshadow option D, and then we have debate on that. So, and do we have any further questions of staff before we go into debate? No. Well, in that case, thank you very much. We'll let you sit back in the gallery because it's a good poll. But I really do appreciate your work over a long period of time, and it's the willingness to the flexibility and to adapt and to engage with the community that has been a highlight. So thank you. So we'll move into debate. So as the mover, you have you have up to 5 minutes in debate, but feel free not to use it all. Yeah, and then so I'm going to foreshadow. If this doesn't pass, I will move option D, the staff recommendation.
Sure. I think the safety improvements are needed in the area. There's a number of people that I've spoken to and had Facebook comments from, and reading a lot of the reports and feedback as well. People want the safety improvements. A number of people don't want them, they don't think they need it in the slightest. To me, there's still a need for safety improvements in the spaces. What has been clear throughout the whole process is the community doesn't feel like it's listened to. It doesn't feel like it's been asked clearly enough and given the options at the right points in their minds for the different options that have been given. To go to option D at this point is just kicking more sand in the face. They get an option they haven't had a chance to look at, an option that is definitely better than what's currently status quo. But again, it's not something I've had a chance to look at, to deal with and see in any great extent. We've seen that a trial got far more interaction out of it to get people on their pens, on their keyboards, letting us know what they wanted to say about it, what they wanted to know about, and talk about what they found wrong with things. Reading through the feedback, and there's a lot of it from different sources, the bollards have been the biggest issue of the whole thing. Removing them is without a doubt a great option. The speed bumps have been widely accepted as a good option by the community and a way to keep people safer by helping reduce the speeds. As I say, to me, putting in the build-out curves is, again, not committing ourselves to our communities to listen to what they want and asking them clearly enough. Yes, there's funding and it's due by a certain date, but we shouldn't make a decision due by a certain date purely because we're going to get funding from something else on something that might work better. If we were to look at those options, we could pick out 2 potential intersections, put in those options on those 2 intersections to see exactly how it works in process. The community's showing clearly they want to see things that are in those spaces to get a better understanding. And looking at the drawings, it's very hard for myself and for a lot of other people I've spoken to to get a true understanding of exactly what the changes are. And while 300 mil may look like a lot in certain points of those drawings, that's not the whole way around the intersection. It's only cutting some of the corners down to a wider turning angle from what I can see. So that is definitely why I'm looking to move, I have moved option B as an option.
Right, thank you, Greg. Well, Tim and then Kelly.
I'll speak. I speak against it. I agree with most of what Greg just said, except I think the locals would be happy with another 600 or 700 mils wider road on those intersections. I drive around there a lot and I'm about to move right in the middle of it. So from experience, I think it's the way to go. I'll say no more, so I stay out of trouble.
Kelly.
Thanks very much. Yeah, look, the whole project has been quite fascinating. Just focusing on the good things, I thought their staff handled the parking outside Waitai Road really well. Bringing that back, listening to the people was fantastic. And they showed a real ability to listen and to adapt and change. Appreciate the fact that the community board, the chair was happy to take Breezes Road out of the project, particularly the section between Pages and Waitai. I thought that was really listening to the people. Everybody's had a lot of patience with this. I've been really impressed with staff, particularly Hannah coming out door knocking with me. It's a huge project. It's been a lot of work, lots of engagement. We've learned so much through the whole thing. When the agenda came out, I immediately thought that option D was a good one. But then I started reading the feedback, and then I started getting feedback from people. The bollards clearly were not popular. I understand the requirement or the desire to narrow the roads and make them make people slow down, but I wouldn't be representing the people of the ward if I didn't go with the majority who do not like the build-outs. So are we supporting this option? I'm compelled to vote with the people and the feedback that I get. However, I think it's been a really good process. Lots of things have gone on. It has been tricky, but I think it's been impressive the way that staff have been so, I guess, adaptable and the way they've tried to engage with people. Yeah, it is always tricky, but one of the things that I really think we've learned from this is the success of the speed bumps. I mean, on Hampshire Street, the drop in speed of 13 k's an hour is amazing and is a potential lifesaver. I don't see the same about the build-outs in the corner. A few more speed humps around in the project probably would have been quite useful. But so I'll support option B as long as it lives. Cheers.
Anybody else wish to speak? All right. Well, I was going to just say, what Tim said. The problem is that we have these subdivisions which were designed, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, with big wide intersections. All these are now working class state house intersections, which were designed to effectively, they're designed to make it easy to go fast down these streets and around corners. So that wasn't ultimately the intention. It was designed to make people feel safe. And I think I'm really happy that we've gone through a process of trial and we've been able to adapt, been able to change, in the wake of listening. And I am really glad too, Kelly, that we didn't go with that temporary cycle way, because I think it would have undermined, I said at the time, I thought it would have undermined the project in the eyes of the public. We would have ended up having to pay a lot of money to remove it, it turns out. So I'm really glad that we didn't make that call as a community board. I do think that with option D, as opposed to this option, it is the best combination of safety and it is responding to the feedback. I'm not sure that it's going to be any more or less popular. I think certainly at some level it is, well, it's obviously it's different to what has been consulted on exactly, but what overwhelmingly what I heard about bollards was two things. One, the intersections were too narrow, but also that they were ugly. They made it, and people didn't realise that they weren't going to be permanent. And the idea that they were going to be permanent enraged people. So I think that the biggest thing that we can improve about the whole process would be putting a lot of effort into making sure that people know that it's a trial and that we can adapt and change. I do again, and I just want to acknowledge the work that has gone on by staff and to acknowledge the extra work that Kelly has did as councillor engaging with this community, particularly. So with that, I won't be supporting option B, but it is a good second option. Did anybody else want to speak? Joe?
Yeah, just with the narrowing of the intersections, I'm always hesitant about them because I've had it done in my street. And it's always really hard to actually bike next to the intersection to turn with all the cars there as well. So I think I'd rather support B because it actually leaves the intersection wider and allows for more room for cycles.
All right, well, if nobody else wishes to debate, the motion will be now be put. All those in favour say aye. So this is in favour of option B, just to be clear. We just need to make sure. So I might ask for a raise of hands just so we're clear. So all those in favour say aye. So that's Kelly, so that's 4. So that has lost. So now foreshadowed. You don't need to debate again, I don't think.
Someone's voted against it yet.
Huh?
It's one so far because no one's voted against it.
Okay, well, who votes against?
Yes, you're quite right. Thank you for pointing that out.
The division as well.
What's that?
Include the division as well.
Yes. So all those against, please say no. No. Can we have a raise of hands? And so this is a division. So that's
okay. So 4 we had Kelly, Greg and Joe. Did anyone abstain?
No abstentions. No. So that was lost. Yeah. So my sincere apologies about that. I not 100%. All right. So now, Kelly,
I'm keen to debate the next one.
Who would like to debate?
Now that the situation has changed.
So I foreshadowed it. So I will now move option D.
I'll second.
And seconded by Tim. I feel like I've already said all I need to say. I'll save my voice. So I might take my right of reply. I'll give up my 5 minutes. So Kelly.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not unhappy with this. B was my preferred option, but I'm not unhappy with this. And I'd like to again reiterate how great staff have been by getting a solution, particularly on road narrowing, moving it in or out, whichever your case may be. Look, I think the safety improvements around the suburb will see benefits, and I'm not so opposed to this. So I just want to particularly thank the staff for the work that they've done because they've been very patient. It's been a learning for all of us, but they've been really professional and done a great job. So thanks.
Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I'm voting in favour of this because seeing all the stats around the benefits this has on safety in our community, I think as elected members, we all have a mandate to support changes that result in increased safety for our children and everyone else as well. I'm a bit disappointed in the approach that was taken in regards to the cost of removal, but we've settled that as a board, and I've sent an email about how we can potentially progress that later, and I just want to note that I am really concerned about that, but I will be voting for this.
Anybody else? All right then, well, just my brief reply, thank you everyone, yeah, I do just want to pick up what Alex said, is that I think you have to put at the top of the list, and this is the persuasive matter for me, the top of the list is the safety of pedestrians, especially kids, because there's a heck of a lot of kids playing on those streets. So I'm really, I really do support this strongly. So motion will now be put. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against?
No.
Yep.
No?
Do you
Georgia?
both want?
We have recorded, please.
So that's Joe and Greg against. Any abstentions? Yeah, so yeah, if you could note those down.
Just you only abstain.
Yeah, abstain. All right. Well, if everybody would like to have a quick drink of water, I think we've earned it. And just again,
We are now live.
Right, we are now live at Aranui in the world. So we come to item number 12, which is it was the Better Off funding application that we left on the table. And Taylor has some more information for us. If you have any questions. All right. Sure.
Yes, so a lot of you would have gotten an email that had all the information. I guess if you guys have any questions, then I'm happy to answer.
Thank you for your extra work and following up on this. Are you able to just give us an update? Because I understand you meet with the Parklands group.
Yeah.
Are you able to give us the feedback on where the project's sitting?
Yeah, so they meet once a month. So that is Queen's Park Community Trust. It is Toy Library, Parklands United, Pukeko Centre, so a range of organisations come together. And I guess the feedback in the last meeting that I got from at least 3 organisations was that they're actually really happy with the new operations manager role at Parklands United, because it's looking at a different scope and trialling new initiatives to engage tamariki and rangatahi in sport. So,
cool. Any further questions? All right. I'm interested. There was a little bit of, obviously, a bit of debate, and we decided to leave it on the table. What are you thinking in terms of use of resources?
I'm happy to move that we.
Happy to second.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think there's any debate needed, so all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried.
So just to be clear, it was Celeste Donovan and Kelly or Tim?
No, I beat Tim.
But
Clarification.
Tim thought it, unless you heard Tim thinking it. And then said,
I missed out. Sorry, Tim.
all right. So there's fast. So now we move. Emily has the Avon Taco Network.
So Emily's stepped away, she's not feeling too well, but happy to take any questions.
I mean, I'm happy with it. Is anybody any?
Just 12.
Okay, well, I did. I'll just move it. So seconded by Joe. Do you have a question?
I just had a question around the quantum of funding. It is such a great event. I just want to make sure that there isn't a significant shortfall at their end. I'm sure staff can take that into consideration.
Yeah, there's not much left. We can't really do anything about that, but
You should do that.
It's 1,500, so that's the.
So
we get a bit more information about that.
Yeah, so
Is it a higher amount?
essentially you're at the end of your DRF balance. So that you're limited by that, and also the amount that's being recommended is what's the right word?
Still enables it to happen?
Not that, it's it follows along with Papua New Central's recommendation as well. So we kind of discussed, because it's a split application, so we're representative in that balance as well.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks. How do you work out that there's 25% coming from our area? And given that we're only, if it's, about a quarter, why are we being asked to contribute? But I don't quite understand what the policy is around this, given that this is in some other board's area, and the majority of people are coming from outside of our board's area.
So the way that the participants are worked out is based on the information we're provided by the applicants. If we need to, we ask for more information from the applicant. Typically, when it comes to splits, above 20% is the threshold for a split application. Then once it ticks above being split between more than 3 boards, it becomes a metropolitan application. So that's the criteria for the process.
And have we funded this group before through this community board?
For this event, I believe it normally goes to the Events and Festivals Fund. That's written into the application. Because that fund was oversubscribed, they have recommended that they apply to our DRF.
Oh, okay, so this is a metropolitan event that's no longer being funded. That's being asked to come to the community boards.
So it no longer meets the criteria for the Events and Festivals Fund. So this is written into your report. Yeah. So they've been advised they no longer meet the criteria for that fund. So therefore they've been recommended to apply to the board's DRF, and that's why it's being split with Capillary in its centre.
Alex?
I just want to know, like, just in general, does this have quite a lot in terms of the splitting?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Just wondering.
All right, I'm going to put that now. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. All right. So the next one is the Usual Response Fund application for Te Wero Gymnastics. Any?
I got some questions.
All right, Jason, if you could join us. All right, Kelly.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. So it looks like a worthy organisation. What equipment costs are there if the program is run at the gymnastics club? Because don't they already have gym equipment? And yeah, do they need more stuff?
My belief is that the extra equipment that they need is for when they go to the local schools. So they have bigger equipment that they can use within their facility, but when they get in, they just need to bring some little fundamental things for the students to use, the basic equipment.
Okay, and are the transport costs solely for buses to transport children to the club, or what's the story here?
And coaches as well.
And coaches, okay. And why has there been no other applications for funding like that? Is that common for us to be the only source that the gymnastics club will take?
For Te Wero, or for the, yes, I mean, they do a lot of fundraising as well. So, I mean, they've got their Bunnings fundraiser, sort of wine fundraiser, entertainment book fundraiser as well, that they are trying to contribute some funding towards to help them on out as well.
And
what's funding for NGO funding is very labour intensive. So like they're doing fundraisers, they're just not getting philanthropic funding.
Yeah. And what's different about this gymnastics club? Is there anything special about them?
Nothing special, they're just a great gymnastics club, like any other gymnastics club around the city. Doing things for participants.
Okay, and just a final question, how many hours classes are being offered with staff wages for, $750? Is it like 30 hours at $25 an hour, or any
I
other?
would have to go back to you and get the full breakdown of that.
That's all right, I'm just curious.
The other thing is that gymnastics is a sport that doesn't necessarily have high uptake in low income areas.
Yeah, no, I get that. Okay, thanks.
All right. Jackie moved it, didn't you? Do we have a seconder? Yep. Seconded by Tim. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. All right, thank you, Jason. And so now we move to the community service and youth service awards. I think my microphone's gone up. Oh, there we go. There we go. I think we need to talk about this in public excluded. So that in mind, I will move that resolution to go into public excluded. And I'm sorry, Mr. Dool, we'll have to ask you to either wait outside or to drive home.
Yeah, no, I'll head away. Thanks for your time.
Seconder for that, please.
It'll be seconded for the seconded by Kelly. So, so then we need somebody to move the staff recommendation.
For 16?
For, item number, no, not 16, 15.
Yep, David, move.
And seconded by Alex. Right, and so, and we just note, that, no, we don't need to know anything.
So sorry, that was Kelly, Barbara and
Alex.
Anyone
Alex.
that's
Sorry. So motion will now be put. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you, everyone. So now we've got the Community Boards Executive Committee Conference.
I'll move it.
I'll second it. Oh, I can't.
Right,
I'll second it.
Yeah, maybe someone else. Moved by Celeste, seconded by Alex.
Yeah.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chair.
So now community board representation on outside organisations and committees. This is better off for Brighton. Short version is that Celeste has been involved as a local councillor.
Oh, that's good.
So Celeste gonna.
And so, so they want it formalised. And I think that they would like one community board member and one,
As additional to Celeste.
and you want an additional, so we'd be adding Celeste as councillor and a community board member. Alex, are you keen?
Yeah, I'd be quite interested.
Yeah, is that right, Joe?
That is fine because I've been doing my coastal business thing still.
I nominate Celeste and Alex.
Time consuming.
Okay, I'll second that. And so that's, we're moving that Celeste and Alex be appointed to the better for Brighton?
We were already on it.
Not formally.
Not formally.
I set it up, but yeah.
Yeah.
I've now repeated to it.
Yeah.
So
So she's-
we're doing it formally.
Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah, the really
All right.
funny.
All right, move that, so motion will now be put. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you. And so now to Chris for the area report.
So I'll take this one as read because I was away during the writing of it, so I won't read it all to you, but any questions I can answer.
Yeah, there's quite a few things in there.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
So no, I haven't
Lots
read
of
it.
good stuff.
Best report done so far.
yeah, there's heaps of stuff happening. Did you do?
No, not just me, it's a team effort.
Yep. Yeah,
I mean, I know we're getting a really short time, but I just wanted to check, is there a way that we get the board priorities from the community board plan reported against?
But as things happen in relation to the board plan, they are in the area report, and then roughly 6 monthly we do a sort of a specific bumper monitoring report with all of the information. So monthly you get updates as it happens, and then you get a separate sort of monitoring report. So the last one you had was in, I want to say, April, maybe May. It was in time for your submission on the long-term plan.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to understand, like, say improving Bromley roads, which has been delayed, how the community has visibility of that. Because obviously there was a proposal that LTP to cut to delay the funding as well. And now there's been subsequent delays to the consultation, which was supposed to go up early this year. And I'm just trying to understand how we get visibility of the different elements of that.
The only thing that I can answer at the moment is, like you were told earlier, there's an update coming in end of the month.
27th of June.
So that's the only update that I can give you at the moment.
Okay, do we know if the submitters to the Bromley or the attendees from the meetings have been told that there's been a delay? But I'm interested in how we're communicating as well around it. I had put these questions through to Cindy.
And I'm still awaiting the staff.
Yeah.
Staff have been away unwell.
So yeah, that's the answer that we've got at the moment.
So we don't know.
yeah, but I agree with you, Yanni, that we should, now that we're getting a briefing, I assume we get, it's an information session?
Yep.
So it'll be public?
Yep.
So
I guess the problem is that that's going to come after the ability to put amendments into the LTP or to even save funding in the LTP. So the problem is, as the councillors, you know, if we want to advocate for anything in terms of Bromley roads, we're just completely in the dark, and the timing is.
Well, I presume you'll be trying to save funding in the LTP. Like, I understand the frustration, don't get me wrong, but like, if councillors, you could save improving Bromley's roads in the LTP, that would be great. Joe?
Yes, just wondering, Chris, is there any reason why that Wolston Boxing Club Incorporated is highlighted? On page 308.
Might be
Is that only
formatting
highlighted
error.
out of all?
It looks like a formatting error to me.
Oh, yeah, it's probably something, it would probably be a formatting thing, yeah. It may have just been missed. So that's within the sort of report back on the previous strengthening community. So the highlights probably just as we've been moving through the report to check where we're up to. It might have just been missed, that's all.
Right, Lisa?
I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time to bring it up, but in terms of the long-term plan conversation, can the board request a briefing on the civil defence plan? Is council supposed to get so the same comment around making sure that there's funding allocated, or that we were supposed to receive, council was supposed to receive a briefing in March, we haven't. So we can't really make any informed decisions about where the gaps are if we don't actually know.
Is there something in, like,
In the agenda that we
in the agenda, in this report, the community governance report?
would it be fall under the Eastern priority?
Yeah.
Potentially also the process for requesting a briefing is that the chairperson can make that request or the governance manager.
Through what?
Through you can just make that request via email, probably enough, but yeah. So if you're looking for a briefing, that's one of the new processes.
So as previously discussed, I don't know if it's the same topic or if it's relevant, but if you want that added and if staff can do it within the time that we have allocated, I actually have the two presenters from the civil defence team coming back to the board on the 27th of June. So if there's anything specific that you think them two can cover at that briefing, then I can get that incorporated.
I mean, there's obviously, there's two issues there which are that come to mind is three. One is the staff hopefully being allocated to work with our community to develop a tsunami evacuation plan and response plan. But that, though, obviously the funding for that needs to be maintained, but also any additional funding that's needed. Like, I can't find where there would be any funding for any of that in the LTP. Yeah, that was the main thing. We just covered that off.
Yeah, and I guess that I understand, of course, that the fires have probably delayed some of this information, but it is hugely significant for all of the coastal areas for us to have that information, so we can plan for it in the next
I think we can take care of getting the information. Yeah. You certainly need that as councillors going into your LTP decision making. All right. Anything about about the report? And we can go to members information exchange if you want. What were you wanting to know?
I just want to clarify, because I think it would be helpful if you as chair could get briefings on things. So like the Bromley things were supposed to be back. I was told previously that'd be back in May. So I just think, if there's a process by which we can ask you to get stuff done so that we can be informed, I think that'd be really helpful.
Well, just on that, so when you put in emails about Bromley roads, I say to Cindy, yes, I want that too.
The problem is that staff are value engineering some of the projects without us having the ability to put them in the LTP, and the community probably think that the reason for the delay is because council staff were proposing that we defer the funding and cut the funding in the LTP as well. So, from a resident's point of view and from a council point of view, it just feels like we don't get any transparency over what's actually happening. We're just told, there'll be a briefing. Sorry, it's been delayed. Sorry, it's been delayed.
Yeah, we're all in the same position. We don't have the information. We've asked for the information. All right, well, I'm going on this report, would someone like to move, that the report we received? What, was that you?
No,
Jackie?
Okay.
Moved by Jackie, seconded by Young. Was that a second, Young? Yeah. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. All right, we have a elected members information exchange, which would just 5 minutes or so, because stuff we have to pack up and all that. I just want to say so the SOAM work, what does it stand for again? The social equity,
Wellbeing.
Wellbeing network have agreed to support the Eastern Priority, and so their skills and networks will come alongside and complement the community governance team and the internal and staff team support. So that's really good, and so they help us actually make the best use of the limited funding that we do have. The second thing I want to say is that which was in the report, was that there has been a community worker appointed by St John's Church in Woolston, and it happens to be somebody who I didn't click it was the same person as somebody I know who is really really lovely and has got a great gift working with people. So I think that's really positive. Yeah, but just anybody, Joe?
Just something a wee bit fun. I was approached a couple of weeks ago from this man from Waddell Corporation, and they're the trust for Rob Waddell, and they're looking at putting events around New Zealand and a couple of sporting events up in the North Island, but they want to do an event in Christchurch, and they've actually picked up on the sandcastle competition.
Nice.
I'm hoping to bring it back this summer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember something else I wanted to share too, is that, so you may or may not be aware that there was a application to reopen, so it's a new application, a bottle store at 51 Pages Road, which is right on the corner of Huffs Road. That application has been withdrawn after we managed to organise to get 127 objections from the public.
Wow.
So I'm very happy about that. So that
Makes it easier to give us a template. It's great.
yes, right. So yeah, yeah. So very very happy.
Yeah, good stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, I just in the interest of time, I've submitted 4 things. So one is that the community would request staff to update the community on the progress on the draft plan projects.
We can't have resolutions from this weekend. Agree to ask for information.
I mean, I've already done it, but it's just basically asking that we update the community on the progress for the Bromley Improving Roads project with updated timeframes for consultation, decision making, and construction. 2, that we ask for staff advice on how we could get improved cleaning of Linwood Park, including the possibility of more regular maintenance and community cleanups. And 3, and I think staff have sort of gotten a little bit, have kind of got onto this, but how can we get the community web pages on the CCC website improved to include more up-to-date information and progress reported against the board's plan. And then I thought it would be quite useful if we could just get an assessment of how the community web pages views and subscriptions are going. And then the 4th thing was just an email that I sent around with an attachment, which is the creation of the trees. Just asking if the board can get some advice as to the impact of these trees and options to consider mitigation.
Well, you can ask for the information about the trees through the normal process.
Yeah, it has been, like, the reasons have been going through the normal process.
Oh, I mean, you can, through, if you can pass them to, if you can send that, you send that email to Cindy.
Yeah.
And to get the information, it goes through the same process for information exchange. We can't do any more than that.
So
no, I understand.
So just to clarify,
Yeah.
sorry, Paul, for you. So the trees one, if they've logged tickets, it needs to be escalated, and you can do that on their behalf by emailing CS team leaders. And if you don't get a response that way, then flick that through to me, and it will get escalated through the office of the chief executive.
The problem is it'll need a community board decision, I presume, because you're talking about possibly removing a number of trees. The CSR process to date has simply resulted in some of them being pruned. But the damage that's happening to the footpaths and on the private properties is causing residents a lot of concern. So it's a thing that it's a decision that will have to be made by the community board at some point.
Yes.
And I'm simply trying to get the process underway to get some advice around that so that the residents can come in and talk to us with the information.
But we can't do that here. Be good to get, I'm not arguing about the merits of the issue. It's just that that's not what members' info, what we can do. It used to be, but we can't now. So I am happy, as long as everybody else is happy, happy to agree to seek information about the improving Bromley's roads, and as long as we're agreed, and information about cleaning up the maintenance and the maintenance schedule for Linwood Park, and the websites, like
If I can quickly touch on the website, so what I've done and worked with the web design team. So we've added the board plan and progress monitoring to the board's social pinpoint web page, and then each one of them has now got a drop down. So as I mentioned earlier around the monitoring reporting, as that's done, that's going under each of the 9 tabs to show progress that's been done against each of those. So that's already been acted on.
Okay, in that case. All right, so but we'll ask for that information, and don't think anybody's opposed to that. No, all right. Well, in that case, you got one?
Yeah, I must like to say I'm very surprised and very happy to see that blue gum tree coming down, that no one's made a fuss about it. But I'd like to know where the fire went to.
I was surprised that no fuss has been made about it too, and but yeah, I don't know what do you. I think somebody asked a question.
Celeste responded with the latest update on that.
The museum.
I tried to ask Wayne, but he hasn't answered the phone.
Okay, I connected them with Wayne, so hopefully it's been sorted. If not, who knows?
Okay.
Can I just make one comment?
Yeah.
Sorry. There's always one more.
But that's the last one.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick update. The Duke Festival reached out, and they are planning on coming back with bigger and better events. They've actually got some plans, Joe and Alex, both involved as well, but talking about upscaling it. They've done a lot in this, basically being a community project. They haven't really received any funding whatsoever from Council Community Board. But they are, looking at an event, so things like the Sandcastle competition have been looked at as well. So it'll be good to see them at some point. They'll be coming to Community Board to give us a bit of an update, but it should be a pretty big event because it's low cost and really community focused. So I think it's really great for the areas we represent. So looking forward to hearing more about it.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll say our cut here for commitment. Kia tau, te rangi, o te rangi e tū i o nei, o papa tuanuku e taku tōnei, o te tau e awhi nei, ki runga i a tātou, tihe i marurua. Thanks, everyone.